here. I have filmed another makeup tutorial on this very subtle look here. It's not really that subtle, like, is it? I wanted to really use this Colourpop eyeshadow called Porter. I've actually hit pan on it now. I really am very impressed with the pigmentation of the Colourpop, and I actually had to go in back and forwards a couple of times. Just the other shadows weren't really holding up to this. And the other thing that I am loving today, and I completely forgot how much I love this palette, the Highlighting Solstice palette from Sleek. It's stunning. Oops, there goes my brush. It's stunning, and I literally look like my cheeks are carved with glass. It's really, really awesome and super duper duper cheap as well. I think this is less than a tenner. I must have a look for it and put it in the link below. I hope you enjoy this tutorial, and I hope to see you in my next video. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye guys. Hi guys, I am super duper tired today. Oh, I feel awful, but anyway, we'll get on with it. So I'm taking the Ordinary Hyaluronic Acid as per usual, and then a little bit of Charlotte Tilbury's Magic Cream. My skin just felt super dehydrated today. This moisturiser is the bomb, but it is super expensive. It's like 70 quid for a 50ml tub, and I just can't justify it at the moment. That was a little pot that I had got in a calendar. Then just taking the Tarte Shape Tape and using that to prime our lids, just to take away any veins that are popping through or any discoloration that we might have, and just helps the colours pop later on. Then I am taking the Tarte Tartlet in Bloom palette. I'm taking the lightest shade in the palette on a fluffy brush, and the lightest shade is called Charmer, because, you know, I'm a charmer, sometimes. Okay, then the next shade that we're actually taking this little Tarte fluffy brush. We're using the fluffy side, and we're going into this warmish brown in this palette called Smarty Pants. Yes, you guessed it. I'm also a little bit of a Smarty Pants. And just using this as a transition shade and building it up in the crease. Again, this palette does give a little bit of kickback, so just take your time. The next shade that we are taking is a shade called Sweetheart. And you guessed it, I am Sweetheart as well. And taking that lower than we did the Smarty Pants shade, and just slowly building that colour up. I'm then taking this little angled brush from Tropic, and I'm actually going into the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette, and I'm taking the bright orange shade called Railgar in this. I sort of kind of wanting a transition from kind of brown to orange to this kind of purpley cranberry shade that is Porter, which is we're going into now. This is a Colourpop shade. This is the one that I am super excited to use. It has gold glitter reflex in it, but not a whole pile. Now, these shadows are best applied with your finger or with a synthetic brush. So I am going in initially on the inner and outer half of my lid. What I want to do today is to create sort of a round halo eye. Then I'm taking this little brush from Urban Decay, and I am just kind of softening the edges of this. I'm trying to leave a little bit of a gap in the middle, but you'll see later on in the video, I just go ahead and just cover the lid with this, and then I go over and sort of cut it out a little bit. Then we're going back into that shade Sweetheart and just softening those edges. We're taking this from the inner corner right to the outer corner as we are creating a round sort of doe-eyed doll effect. Taking this little brush from Morphe, I don't know what it's called, but it's not a bad little synthetic brush, and I'm just intensifying that shade that we have Porter on the inner and outer half of the lid. And I take my time, I go back and forwards quite a number of times with this, and back and forwards with these shadows. Then this is the bit where I'm deciding to cut out this kind of middle bit, and I'm taking a little bit of the Shape Tape. This is great for doing cut creases. It's great for cancelling out any colour on your lid. I'm taking this on a concealer brush from Tropic, and I'm taking my time with this and focusing this sort of as like a roundish shape. Now we're going to go back in and out of shadows. So if you're not 100% precise with this, it's not the end of the world, but you want to put this kind of where your pupil is in your eye. So we're taking a flat definer brush and a little bit of the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer, and we're taking the shade Primavera from the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette. And you can see that just helps to make the colour pop. It's quite harsh looking at the moment, so I go back in and out of the Porter colour and the Primavera colour a couple of times and just kind of soften everything out. With this kind of technique, you want to kind of press it and pat it onto the lid to get the most intensity from your eyeshadows. So whenever you feel like you've kind of built that colour Primavera up, then you can go back in again with your Porter colour, and I'm taking this again on the same Urban Decay brush and just kind of softening those edges, going over the top of it, and I just don't like anything with a really harsh line. You'll probably find this is a pattern in my tutorials. I just like to soften things, so I go back and forwards quite a few times here, keep looking at it until I get the intensity. These Colourpop eyeshadows are a sort of a cream to powder finish, and they're so intense that you need to go back and forwards. And you can see there I went back in with Primavera again, and I'm taking Porter on a slightly bigger brush at the moment, and just diffusing what I did. So it takes a while to build this up. This is sort of the longest part of the look, so if you can just bear with it, you'll get there. Then I'm going into the shade Smarty Pants again on this fluffy brush, and I'm just diffusing out those harsh edges again. We don't want anything harsh, just sort of nice and soft and creating that kind of gradient effect. Now, just to clean up, I'm taking a little bit of micellar water on a cotton pad. I'm not doing the V shape this time. I am just cleaning this up. As you see there, I've screwed the lid back on my Colourpop shadows, and this is something that you definitely want to do, folks, or they're going to dry out. So I've just literally cleaned up from my lower lash line, basically in a straight line, as opposed to going up in that V. Then I'm going on to prime the face with the Smashbox Photo Finish primer. That's just the original one, and it's a silicone primer. It's good for filling in pores, smoothing out the skin. As you can see, I have a few blemishes there that just kind of helps the foundation go on. And then a little spritz of the primer water from Smashbox. Then we're going to go in and colour correct as per usual. I did that off camera. And then I'm taking a little bit of the Milani 01 foundation with a little bit of this Rimmel Match Perfection on the back of my hand. The Milani one is so thick. I just threw foundation all over my top there, if anybody's wondering what I was doing. I'm taking this flat kabuki brush from MSQ Professional. I love this brush for doing foundation. It is so dense that if you go in with like a stippling effect and then buff it out, it doesn't really absorb the product too much, and you'll see that I've went in with a beauty blender towards the end of this just to kind of soften everything down, remove any brush lines. There wasn't really on this. I'm just being, OTT as always. I'm taking the colour down my neck, because even though this is super fair, I am like a ghost. I'm whiter than the walls behind me. Yeah, so just wet my beauty blender here with a little bit of the Kat Von D and just taking a little bit of the foundation that's remaining on my hand and just kind of patting over everything to make sure that everything's lovely and blended. Then we're taking a little bit of lip scrub as per usual and going in with the Tarte Shape Tape to do a little bit of concealing and highlighting. Taking this under the eyes, bridge of the nose, cupid's bow, chin and the forehead, and blending everything out with my dampened beauty blender. And I've just added a little bit of the Kat Von D Lock-It setting spray. I love doing this. It's a little trick that makeup artists use, and I think it just helps everything adhere better to the skin. Blending that up in under my eyes up to my temples, just add a little bit of structure and highlight to the face. I always leave my nose to the very end. I like to let the concealer nearly dry on my nose, and it just creates that nice highlight that we have. This concealer, if you haven't tried it, go get it and let me know if you can do another concealer after this. I'm trying to get away from the Shape Tape because it's so blinking hard to get. Right, I'm taking a little bit of Tropics concealer in Fair, and I'm just doing a little bit of pinpoint concealing with that, and then just setting everything down with the Laura Mercier translucent powder. I'm using this with the dampened beauty blender under the eyes in that triangle shape, and then just take a fluffy brush and set the rest of my face with the Laura Mercier powder. It's my favourite powder at the moment. I go back and forwards between this one and a couple of different ones, but at the moment this is my favourite. Back onto the eyes, then we're going into that colour in the Tartlet and Bloom palette. I'm using the colour Sweetheart, and I just felt that once I got my foundation on, I just needed a little bit more colour up to the brow bone. And you know, I go back and forwards and fuss over this. You know, you do you, whatever you're happy with. You'll see I go in and highlight my brow bone and stuff later on, but I just wanted to intensify that gradient that we had going on, and that colour Sweetheart is like a dusky rosy pink, and it just kind of adds a little bit of something extra. Just taking the Benefit eyebrow primer again, as I said before, don't really rate it, but I'm using it to use it up really. Today I am taking the powder, the brow palette from Tropic, and I'm using the darkest colour baster, and I'm actually overdoing my brows today, which is something that I generally don't do, but I just felt that this look was going to be quite strong in the eyes, and therefore we needed a strong brow to carry it off. Because I've been using powder, I think you can get away with doing this. It doesn't look harsh, it still looks, you know, natural, inverted commas, and I'm really carving out the lower end of my brow and trying to give it definition and bringing it in just slightly more towards my nose as well, to give me a little bit more of a shape to my brow, a little bit more length, and just extending the tail. So once we have our brows on, they look super duper strong there, but once we get the rest of the face on, they will match in, I promise. Taking that Sweetheart shade again on that little brush from Tarte, and just smoking out the lower lash line. I love smoking out my lower lash line. It's like my favourite thing to do whenever I'm doing my makeup. I don't know what it is, it's just really satisfying. It like starts to bring the whole eye look together. Then we are taking this lovely shade again from Colourpop called Porter, and we're taking this on the teeny tiny pencil brush from Tropic. I love this brush, you'll see me using it a couple of times. I find a lot of pencil brushes are really scratchy on the lower lash line, but this one is so soft. So I'm taking this on the inner third and the outer third, and kind of replicating basically what we have done to the top lid. It just, you know, you want to kind of, because you're creating this kind of halo round eye, you want to just intensify everything by copying what you've done up above. I'm taking this shade next. It's a Colourpop shade, it's a Kathleen Lights shade. It's a lovely golden colour, and I'm just focusing that directly below where we had put the Primavera shimmery shade on the top of our lids. So we're just doing basically what we did above, we're just copying that and doing it below. And it just adds a little something extra. I am then taking that little brush again, I cleaned it off, and I'm just taking a teeny bit of the Primavera shade, slightly lower than that gold colour, just to add just a little teeny bit more. More is more. So I'm taking this lovely angled fluffy brush from MSQ Professional. These brushes are class and they're so affordable. I'm then taking the shade Rebel, which is darker than Sweetheart, and that's from the Tarte Tartlet and Bloom palette, and again I am smoking out my lash line even more. We're taking this down a good bit further than I would normally do it, because we are really wanting to create a very dramatic eye here. Then I'm taking this Tarte brush again, I'm taking kind of the soft dome side, the lighter shade in this palette called Charmer, and I'm using this to highlight my brow bone. This is, I feel, when the eye look really comes together, and I always like to highlight my brow bone at the end of doing my eyes for some reason. I don't know, just like the finishing touch. Okay, so next we are taking this Kajal liner from the Body Shop, and I am tight lining, and I'm also doing my waterline with this as well, something that I never do because I have quite small eyes, and taking a little bit of this along very, very tight to the upper lash line. What I want to do is just create a separation between the lashes and the shadow. I'm not doing anything fancy with liner here, it's really just kind of more defining our lash line, so tight lining and doing a very thin line on the upper lash line and then taking that in the lower one. Trying the Smashbox eyelash primer here today, and I liked it, and whilst I'm waiting on that to dry, I'm going in with some clear brow gel from the Body Shop and just setting those brows down. I really fluffed them up, and they were, you know, kind of sticking up everywhere, but I thought that added to the dramaticness of the look. I'm taking a very large fan brush here and a palette from Makeup Revolution and going into that kind of dark contour shade. It's like a very ashy brown colour, and you'll see this really carves out my cheekbones. And you know, not an everyday look, not the most subtle of looks, but it goes with what we've got going on here. So I take this around my forehead, my temples, under my chin, and then I do the V down my neck. I don't know why I do this, but you know, whatever. I'm then taking a little bit of that same shade on a teeny brush, and I am contouring and carving out my nose. Don't always contour the nose, but because I want to go in with quite a bright highlighter later on, we will do that. I am taking the shade from Bare Minerals. I don't even know if they make this anymore. This is an oldie but a goodie. It's called The Confession, and it's more like a dusky browny pink. And I just felt it wasn't enough, so I went into the Zoeva Coral Blush palette and just took a slightly peachy colour and took that more on the apples of the cheeks as well. Sometimes, you know, I layer up different blushes depending on the look that I'm going for. Taking Makeup Geek's Stargazer. It's kind of a pigmented glitter, and I'm wetting my brush with the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer Water, and I am doing like a glittery inner corner highlight, you know, why not? And then, because more is always more with me, why not? You know, we're going all out here. I decided to just add a little bit of that under the very highest bit of my brow bone, and it added just something special to the look. I'm going into this fabulous highlighting palette. I'm taking those two shades, and you can see I'm like, woo, on a fan brush going up on the apples of my cheeks and above my brow in that kind of V shape, and like class, like you can just see what that highlighter does. It's amazing. And then plenty on the tip of the nose, down the bridge of the nose as well. And the Cupid's bow got a quirr going over today as well. And then we went in more on the bridge of the nose and the top of the forehead. Basically just covered my whole face in this. And I was like glowing to the gods. I'm taking the Lash Sensational mascara from Maybelline, applying plenty of this to the upper and lower lashes. It's okay, this mascara. It provides good separation and length, but like you really need to build it up to get any thickness or volume to your lashes. So of course I went in with like 50 million layers. Taking the Charlotte Tilbury Penelope pink lipstick here. This is like a very nude colour. Wasn't sure about this and thought, well, we'll go in and give it a go. After I put it on, it was too much of a peachy nude. I think I needed a pinky nude, so I decided to take things up a notch, you know, why not? This is kind of a going out look. So then I take Jazzberry Jazz from Tropic, and it's like a plummy pink colour, and it's not the most pigmented of shades, but it worked well, those two colours together. And then I'm taking Pink Champagne from Tropic, and this is like a lip topper gloss. It's got lots of champagne reflex in it, and I'm really just using this on the inner part of my lip just to create a very kind of pouty effect. And that, folks, is the finished look. Look at that highlighter. It's like cut glass. It's absolutely amazing. I really enjoyed creating this look. It was super fun. It's not something I would normally wear, but I think maybe next time I get a good night out, I might go for something as dramatic as this. It was super fun to do. I was really impressed with the Colourpop shadows as well. So I hope you guys like it, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, guys!